Listen.
Get nerdy with me. Tell me what game that you get on. Is it card or
Hey nerds, and welcome to another Good Nerd Bad Nerd. I'm your host Brian, and thanks for joining me. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you may be wondering what's going on. Well, this is the start of Season 5, and I'm looking to change things up, make things different, keep people engaged in a way that I haven't before. So, on top of putting out the regular podcast like I've been doing, I'm also filming this kind of live on the spot. I'll be throwing images up on the, as I'm doing this. So, it's just another way to engage you guys, kind of show you what I'm talking about. This way you don't have to kind of go check out the show notes or Facebook later. You can see it now. If you're listening to the podcast, all this stuff will be on Facebook if it hasn't been there earlier this week. But, so this is something new. So bear with me as we're doing this. And hopefully this is something you guys are going to enjoy. I'm looking forward to it. If enough people like this and you guys want to be involved, it's not that much more difficult for me to actually live stream this. So if you guys like this, if you like seeing this, if you want to be involved and kind of have a dialogue as I'm having this weekly nerd session, then we can figure something out. But you got to let me know. So that's what's going on. That's what all of this is. And I hope you guys like it, because it's getting to this point, just getting ready and prepped. It's like twice the work as normal. So, I'm doing it all for you guys. That's what I got to say. So before we get into the news this week, there's some business. Just first, some shout-out stuff. And first, I just wanted to make sure everyone remembered a little movie called Wonder Woman. Came out in theaters, 2 weeks ago now? It's been about 2 weeks. But you'll notice we had the Wonder Woman Nerd Lounge review. That's up. You can check that out. Had the usual group: Steve Tenney, Stephanie Tate, Brian Carroll. B wasn't able to be with us, but she will definitely be with us again in the future. Now, if that's not, if you haven't seen it yet, obviously beware, because there's tons of spoilers in it, but it's a good time. And you got a bunch of different perspectives, so it's worth checking out. It's worth listening to that, and leave some comments, engage with us, because we read them all. It's not just me, but if you disagree with Steve, because he can be a disagreeable sort at times, or Stephanie or Brian, leave us some comments, and we'll respond. We do that. Next bit of news, and that's this week, and it actually already got started this weekend on Saturday. E3 is kicking off. If you don't know what E3 is, this is Comic-Con for video games, the Electronic Entertainment Expo. It's a big deal. Saturday kicked things off with EA, and Sunday we had Xbox, and I'm pretty sure tomorrow we have Sony and Nintendo, or no, Sony's tomorrow, Nintendo is Tuesday, I believe. But yeah, I'm going to be talking a bit more about that next week, but I'm going to be down there this week, trying to get my hands on as many games as I can, because I'm looking to add more kind of gaming reviews, gaming content, things like that. But if that is something you're interested in, keep an eye out on Twitter, because let me just say, Anthem, which is a new game coming out for the new Xbox, looks amazing. This game is so beautiful. I don't have an Xbox, but this game is reason enough to get an Xbox. It looks so good. The graphics just look remarkable. So I'm actually really excited to go back and look at some of the other stuff that they talked about, they announced. There's a new Dragon Ball game, if you guys are familiar with the anime Dragon Ball Z. I'm not even sure how that game is going to work. The fighting looks like it's just kind of straight out of the cartoon. It looked more like a bunch of cutscenes put together, but from what I understand, that's the gameplay. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that actually looks like when it's released. If it comes out on PlayStation 4, maybe I'll get it there. But anyways, guys, that's that's E3. That's what's going on. Last bit of business before we get into some of the other stuff, and that is, if you don't remember, I have kickstarted a Patreon, and guys, I would love for you to come be a part of what we're doing here. This is obviously a screenshot of the page, and yes, I have no patrons yet, but check it out. See the different perks at the different levels, because I'm looking to make Good Nerd Bad Nerd be more and offer more for you guys, more content, more kind of exclusive things, especially to the people who are helping support me. And there's been a lot of you on Facebook. We're 60,000 strong, guys. And I'm doing my best to provide news and content, reviews, that kind of stuff for you. So please go check it out. I would love for you guys to be a part of the team. And hey, at certain levels, you can actually be on the show, either in studio or like Steve and B, coming in via Skype or Facebook or things like that. So that is what's going on with the Patreon. Now, that's all of kind of like the kind of business stuff I have going on. But and normally this is when we hop into the news. But before we do that, we have to take some time and reflect and remember. If you guys didn't hear, and I'm sure everyone did, but Sunday morning, was it Sunday morning or yesterday morning? Oh, well, this weekend, we lost Adam West. That's for some of you younger people who maybe aren't familiar with the Adam West Batman. You might not understand how kind of a big deal he was. I mean, it's a shame because a lot of people are like, oh, he was pigeonholed in that role, but that he saved Batman. I don't know that Batman would exist as it does today if Adam West hadn't kind of carried it through and made it as popular as he did. Now, it's kind of fitting. He wrote an article, and this was back in 1983 about video games. And I'm bringing this up because one of these video game journalists I follow on Twitter had mentioned it. And since it is E3 week, it just really felt kind of applicable. But so just some highlights from it. My present day fascination with video games does not derive from personal affection. So he's saying he's actually not a big video game player. Mind you, this is 1983. He may have been more into them now, but anyways, what he said is, I prefer working out and skiing to playing video games, but that's a personal preference, not a value judgment. I happen to think that video games are an ideal means to help broaden the imaginations of young people. I'm gonna, I don't have an image of this for the YouTube guys who are watching right now, because it would be very difficult to read, but I will post this image of the kind of newspaper clip, and you guys can all go check that out. It's a really fascinating read, and it comes at it from a very kind of interesting perspective, and it's kind of a perspective that a lot of us who are video game fans agree with. But all I know is that was kind of off topic of remembering him, not, but Adam West, he was one of these actors, one of these just genuinely great people that if you saw him in something, if you heard his voice, because he did tons of voice acting, you just immediately felt good. My kids, I was just getting them into the old Batman and Robin, and showing them the old Batman and Robin movie with the shark repellent, because they're into the Lego Batman, and there's so many references there. And so I was showing them the old stuff, and they loved it. They loved it. They thought it was silly, but it was Batman. It was fun. And for those of us who watched it when we were kids, Adam West he's such a part of our childhood that it's really hard to feel, like that he's gone. I mean, he was 88. He died peacefully with his family, and so we send our love and our thoughts and our prayers to his family, and we just hope, wish them the best as they are going through this time. So, to Adam West and to the West family. So, on that note, guys, let's jump into the news. So, first bit of news, and this is you know what? I'm not even going to tell you what it is. And again, so since I'm trying something new here, you guys who are listening on iTunes or a podcast or just on the website, Obviously, you're not going to be able to see this, but you will know what it is, and you've probably seen it, but we gotta put it up here, and that is, just watch.
Tell me something. What do you know about Wakanda? It's a third world country. Textiles, shepherds, cool outfits, all a front. Explorers have searched for it. Called it El Dorado. They looked for it in South America. But it was in Africa the whole time. I'm the only one who's seen it. And made it out alive. The world is changing. Soon, there will only be the conquered and the conquerors.
Step into the spotlight.
You are a good man
Step into the spotlight.
with a good heart. And it's hard for a good man to be a king.
Be honest. Is there anyone out there who hasn't watched that at least 5 or 6 times? So good. It's been way too long coming. Black Panther is such an amazing character. This movie looks like it's going to be outstanding. I can't wait. I am so excited for this movie. There's so much happening in this trailer that, we're seeing a lot of the characters. The Dora Milaje, his like army of these kind of the most badass trained warrior women that are around him the entire time, because they're the most lethal, deadly fighters in Wakanda, some of them more so than him. But this looks so good. This is going to be amazing. The visuals look stunning. The cast is awesome. Marvel guys, this looks great. Very excited for this. And that was just the teaser. We haven't gotten technically a full trailer yet. It's still a ways off, but that was just, I could watch it again. I'm not going to do it right now because it's not fair to the people who are listening on iTunes. But so good. Really, really so good. That takes us to the next thing, and that is a little bit of Marvel on Netflix. And it was announced this week that after The Defenders, in 2018, we would be getting 3 of the 4 back. Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones. No Iron Fist at the moment for 2018. It's probably better. And I swear, guys, we are going to do a review on that. I'm almost done with the first season of Iron Fist. I swear. Promise. If I'm making the other people on my review team watch it, I gotta watch it too. It's just, it's hard. It's hard. But so we're getting Daredevil season 3 and then season 2 of Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. We don't have specific dates yet, but basically they were confirming that they're coming back. And I think Jessica Jones might be the one I'm most excited for because I don't know, her story was so good. I worry, and maybe this is why I'm eager to see it. David Tennant's Purple Man was such a good villain. He's one of the best villains Marvel has had, and that's a really hard villain to top. And just the relationship and the struggle between the two, it's gonna be a really tough thing for them to top in season 2. So that's, I think, why I'm most intrigued to see that one. But Luke Cage, I think season 2 is gonna easily surpass season 1. There were so many great things in season 1, but the final villain was, in my mind, lacking. But anyways, you know, I just Daredevil season 3 will be big based on what happens in Defenders. I mean, all of these shows will be severely impacted by what happens in Defenders, but it's hard to know which direction they want to go. I mean, we also know that they have Punisher in the works, which I don't know when we're supposed to be getting that, actually. That would be good for me to find out. But, you know, I'm just a huge fan of all these Netflix things. So that is, you know, that's just good news for me. Now, the next bit of news that is TV related is actually from the DC side. And that's for all of their shows. And it's, you know, a nice little thing here that we got premiere dates for all of them. And they're changing up their schedule a little bit. So, keep that in mind. But let me just run through this real quick. Supergirl will have the first premiere, and that's October 9th at 8 p.m. Flash will be back on Tuesdays, coming October 10th at 8 p.m. Now, here's where it changes a little bit. Legends of Tomorrow is coming on Wednesday night. So it's, it's Tuesdays, and it's going to be in the 9 o'clock spot after Flash. So that's a big night for DC. That's their superhero night. And then, let's see, then we have Wednesday, October 11th, we have Archie, Riverdale, if you're watching that. And Arrow will be on Thursdays at 9 p.m. following Supernatural. So that's what's going on there. They have got so many good shows. Is it okay? Who's watching Riverdale? I can't really comment on it because I haven't seen it, but it didn't intrigue me. I don't know. I mean, I know people who are watching it love it, but you know, I just prefer my comic book TV shows to be more of the superhero style. What do you guys think? If you're watching it, let me know what you think of the show. Because honestly, I don't know what to think about it. But moving along, more DC news, and this is coming from the comics now. And if you are not caught up, I guess spoilers, but it's been everywhere. It's been all over the place. But Batman is proposing to Selina Kyle. This feels like it's been a long time coming, in one form or another. They've always had a kind of relationship. It doesn't even really matter who the writer is. There's always been some connection between the two. And if you've been reading the Batman Rebirth stuff, the comic has really been heading there. And they really spelled out how it got to this point in this comic. It's a really well written comic for, this big reveal that everyone, it got spoiled for everyone, really. I think as soon as a lot of the media outlets were allowed to post reviews, they were just like, guess what's happening, Batman? Here's a picture of it. Too bad you don't get to avoid the spoilers. But it was a great issue, actually, because it follows up everything Batman's been going through with Gotham Girl. If you're not familiar with who she is, she's this gal who, her and her brother went to this kind of whacked out doctor who performed some surgeries on them that allowed them to have superpowers. But the more they used their powers, the more they would die, or the quicker they would die. So, a lot of heartbreak there. Her brother went crazy. It took like the entire Justice League and Batman to put him down. And then she was starting to go crazy. And so he went through this whole thing, and he had to, it led to a major confrontation with Bane, and he finally gets her cured, and she still has the powers, but she doesn't know what to do with her life. And so they're having this conversation and this conversation leads, it's kind of what pushes Batman Bruce to propose to Selina. And so I'm not doing the issue justice at all, but it's really worth checking out. And you can get the digital, you can go to a comic store and get it. It's available everywhere right now. So if you're not really reading DC's Rebirth stuff right now, you should. This is some of the best stuff I've read. And starting next week, they are kicking off a new kind of event, and this is they call it the heavy metal or the metal event. It has nothing to do with the actual music metal, but actually relates to a specific type of metal. But hop on board, guys. There's a lot happening, so it's worth checking out. And you're missing big stuff like this. So moving on, the last bit of good news, and I find this bit of news it hits close to home, and I'll explain why, but it's also hilarious and warning clowns ahead. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about Stephen King's It, specifically about Mr. Pennywise. Well, specifically about the actor who's playing Pennywise. Bill Skarsgård, he is playing Pennywise. Apparently, he did such a good job, he made a bunch of kids on set cry while filming the movie. Here's what he had to say. He had a nice long quote about it. He said, "It's a really weird thing to go. If I succeeded at and this is him speaking to himself. If I succeed at doing what I'm trying to do with this character, I'll traumatize kids. On set, I wasn't very friendly or goofy. I tried to maintain some sort of weirdness about the character, at least when I was when I was in all the makeup. At one point, they set up this entire scene and these kids come in, and none of them have seen me yet. Their parents have brought them in, these little extras, right? And then I come out as Pennywise. And these kids, young, normal kids, I saw the reaction that they had. Some of them were really intrigued, but some couldn't look at me, and some were shaking. This one kid started crying. He started to cry, and the director yelled action. And when they say action, I'm completely in character. So some of these kids got terrified and started to cry in the middle of the take. And then I realized, holy shit, what am I doing? What is this? This is horrible. I find this so funny. I know, this is terrible. I find these kids being traumatized hilarious. But for me, man, this was years ago, probably about 10 years ago. I was doing Oklahoma, and I was Judd. I was the villain of the show, and my wife did my makeup, and she made me look pretty gruesome. But I'm not a nice guy in the show. If you're familiar with Oklahoma at all, yes, I had to sing. No, I will not be singing now. But after the show, the cast we would always go out and greet the audience for anyone who wanted to. And this mom comes up to me with her son, and she's like, "Look, you need to talk to him and see he's not really a nice guy." And I tried to be, I was like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" And the kid just started bawling and ran away. And it's one of these moments. I agree exactly with what he's saying. It's like, what is going on? Like, I did my job right. I was terrifying. I was a monster up on stage, but yeah, I'm scaring kids in the audience. And I can't even imagine, that was one kid. I can't even imagine a group of kids, let alone adults who see him in this costume. So I find this funny, and it actually makes me really excited for this version of Stephen King's The It. So what do you guys think about that? I know clowns are a sensitive subject for a lot of people, but I think it's going to be funny. I'm actually really looking forward to this. I think the production value on it is going to be very high, and hearing stories like this just get me excited that it's going to be really, creepy as hell, and that's what you want in a Stephen King thing, right? So, anyways, moving on to the toss-up news, and what is better in the toss-up news than Suicide Squad? That's right. Suicide Squad is back in the news because number 2 has started shooting. Sorry, I got that wrong. It's going to begin shooting in 2018. Now this comes from Joel Kinnaman. I believe he was he's the guy on the screen on the left. He played Rick Flag, right? But here's what he had to say. As far as I know, they're writing the script, and I think the plan is to shoot it sometime in 2018. But that could change. Of course that could change. I think DC needs to change everything, the way they're approaching everything after Wonder Woman, but, that's just me. He says, I think I'll definitely come back for it. That's very strong non-committal language. But 2018, it's going to start filming. Did you guys check out our Nerdland review on it? We definitely did Suicide Squad. My biggest problem was the Suicide Squad should not be taking on world-ending conflicts. It should have been a heist movie, a smash and grab kind of thing. They break in to get something from another government, or after the Justice League is put together, they break in to steal something from the Justice League, like in the Justice League animated series, the Justice League Unlimited. That episode, if you have not seen it, that version of the Suicide Squad, the episode's called Task Force X. So good. That's what the movie should have been. But they felt like they needed to have a world-ending event. So it's cool. Like, here's why it's a toss-up. Because I really, really want this property to work, because I think it could be a lot of fun. But I'm nervous after what happened with the first one. But again, the studio apparently wants David Ayer back, so they have faith in him. I think maybe if they let him do it again, they'll be more hands off. But again, hopefully they narrow the scope of what the film is going to be. I think that's going to be the important thing here. So that is the first bit of toss-up news. Now, the next bit of toss-up news is coming to us from Marvel. And Marvel put out this essentially who was it? It was Nate Moore, who's an executive producer at Marvel Studios. And what he was saying, and this is about the diversity in their films, because after the success of Wonder Woman, of course this question was going to come up for Marvel and what they're doing. Well, what he said is, we want to tell the best stories with the strongest developed characters and scripts that we can. Our biggest concern is that in trying to get more characters out there, we rush something that's not ready, and we deliver something that's not up to our standards. So it's less about rushing a character that's diverse to get it out quickly, and more about figuring out how to do it right. Okay. At the moment, on face value, I have nothing wrong with that statement. The statement makes sense, and that should be how they do every character. You do it and you get it right. I think the problem is they've done this many movies and they're just now getting to it. I understand they're trying to set up some of these characters so they kind of come about to the MCU in a kind of organic way, but really, you don't need to do that. I mean, we're going to get an origin story for most of these characters anyway. And even then, let me say it this way. We're getting another Spider-Man movie before Black Panther, and both of them were introduced in Civil War. I think the Spider-Man film looks really fun. I think it looks great. I'm going to enjoy it, most likely. But I don't necessarily care. Maybe not care, but like the Spider-Man trailer, okay, that's cool. The Black Panther trailer, I'm out of my seat, excited, like going nuts, because Black Panther is something we haven't seen before like that. Yes, he was in Civil War, but not his own movie, not his world. And that's cool. That's really cool. That's what we got with Wonder Woman, with Themyscira, with all the Amazons. That's what we haven't been getting. And I know why Marvel was doing Spider-Man first. That's a business decision. They wanted him in the MCU, and the only way to do that was they had to they had him in Civil War, and then they had to follow up kind of right away with the Spider-Man film. It's a business decision. It had to be done, because of their agreement with Sony. But I just think you want to get every character right. That is no excuse for how long it has taken us to get Black Panther or Captain Marvel or any of the other characters that are such strong candidates. I would love to see Miles Morales or Moon Girl or Kamala Khan, who's Miss Marvel right now. Like a lot of these really new, diverse characters. Ironheart is amazing. I honestly hope when Robert Downey Jr. is done, we do not recast and get Iron Man in here. I hope we get Riri Williams because she is just awesome. She is such a cool character. She's great. All of these kind of new characters deserve time on screen, and I would love that we get Falcon Captain after Chris Evans is done. Mind you, he has signed up again to finish off through Avengers 4, but after that, give us Falcon Captain. That would be awesome. But you know, there's no excuse for waiting as long as they did. I think this quote, this statement on the surface is okay because yes, get the characters right. Take the time to get them right, but you shouldn't a female character or an African character or an Asian character. There are screenwriters who understand their stories. There are women screenwriters. There are Asian screenwriters. There are Africans. There are people who understand these stories. It shouldn't be hard to get these things made. And so yes, get the characters right, but don't wait as long as you have. Let's get these characters that have such a rich story and world that is around them. Let's get those out because as a fan of all the comics, the more of that is better. You know, we don't need Iron Man 4. We don't need we're not going to need another Thor movie after Ragnarok. It's not what we need. Give us that Black Widow film we've been asking for. That's easy. That's an easy one because the audience is already familiar with Natasha. It makes sense. Okay, moving into the bad news. And the Mummy. Yeah, the Mummy. Well, you know, it's not doing so hot at all. At all. Critics are calling it the worst Tom Cruise movie ever made. Now that's a pretty bold statement, but at the same time, that's saying a lot. And even if it's not anywhere near as bad as they say, other people are still saying it's really bad, and it got stomped by Wonder Woman this weekend. It just got stomped, and that's not how you start a movie franchise because they're doing their dark monster universe, and they did it assuming this Tom Cruise movie would be the one to kick it off, and I just don't think it's gonna work. Yeah, it's gonna be really, really bad, I think. I haven't seen it yet. I gotta say that. So I can't tell you what my personal feelings on it are, but all the reviews I'm seeing, the best thing I've seen in as far as compliments go, it's like, well, it's not as bad as this one. So, you know, that yeah, I don't even know what to say about it. I haven't seen it, so I can't say personally what I feel about it, but just this is not good news. This is not good news for the movie, and it just, yeah. Moving on. Some Marvel bad news. And I've already talked about Spider-Man today, but this is, for those of you who don't like spoilers, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will tell you that a big spoiler for this movie has kind of hit the web. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to tell you who it involves or anything like that because I don't want to even kind of give hints to anything. Just be careful. Most of the headlines I've seen have not had it in the headline, which is something a lot of news outlets have been guilty of in the past. There have been pictures of the character or characters or objects or things that it involves, but I haven't actually seen it explicitly stated in a headline, so you're safe at least in that regards. But I'm just warning you. And for the people who leak this kind of stuff, we're so close to it opening. I know everyone wants the headline and they want the traffic because that's ads and ad revenue and all that stuff, but it just knock it off, guys. This close, don't drop these spoilers, things like that. People want to go into the movies and be surprised. This is a message to my colleagues in the entertainment news reporting industry. Knock it off, okay? Some of us want to be surprised going into a film. Sadly, I have seen the spoiler, so I know what it's about, but I'm not going to say anything because I promised I would not do that. So that was the bad news, guys. But we have a character spotlight this week, and it's one I can't believe I haven't done yet, and that is the Black Panther. Obviously, had to do Black Panther this week with the release of that amazing trailer. Seriously, guys, I should just skip the character spotlight and watch the trailer again. But I'm not going to do that. No, not going to do that. Man, this trailer was so good. Really? I mean, it just... Anyways, let's talk about the Black Panther. Who is he? What are his abilities? How long has he been around? Well, I'm glad you asked. He originally appeared in the Fantastic Four number 52, which is, it's interesting that I have no idea how they sometimes decide who's an Avenger-related property, who's a Fantastic Four-related property. Because generally, it's who it was originally associated with. And Black Panther did originate in the Fantastic Four, 1966. Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Alter ego, as most of you know who did see Civil War, T'Challa. Team affiliations. These are all the groups he's been a part of. We have Fantastic Four, Avengers, Defenders, Fantastic Force, the Illuminati, the Ultimates. He even, at one point, filled in for Daredevil and kind of took over patrolling Hell's Kitchen while Daredevil was out on essentially a walkabout through America trying to figure out his life. He was married to Storm for a while, but that marriage got annulled basically around the time of the Avengers versus X-Men storyline when Namor destroyed Wakanda. But his abilities are legion. He's got so many. So he's a trained acrobat, martial artist, and gymnast. He has superhuman senses, enhanced strength, enhanced speed, agility, stamina, durability, healing, and reflexes. He has a genius-level intellect. He has alchemical, or like alchemy, protection against mystical attacks and detection. He wields a vibranium uniform, boots, and equipment, including daggers, spears, all sorts of stuff. Also important to know, there's a huge mystical aspect to him and Wakanda. There's the Panther God, and that's where a lot of his abilities come from. And at one point, I think this was around the Doom War stuff, he was learning how to weld or wield or combine the vibranium technology and advanced martial arts they had with a kind of a mystical martial arts. And his Dora Milaje, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not, but I'll find out once the movie gets here. They helped create this new fighting style, and so that's been a big part of him. Again, he's been on all of those teams. He's appeared in video games. He's appeared in the Avengers Assemble, and then Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. He's had a variety of different costumes, but traditionally and for the most part, it's just been kind of the black, all black, kind of panther-looking thing. In his first appearance, it actually, kind of like Batman, had his mouth was exposed, but it very quickly went to the kind of full mask that you've seen. T'Challa was not always the Black Panther. Also, he did pass it on to his sister, his cousin, I think, Shuri, and she was definitely outstanding. She was so intense, and I really hope she's in the movie because she's a great character as well, and potentially a more lethal combatant than him. I don't know. She's deadly on the battlefield. I think that's what it's coming to. But kind of one of his most infamous villains is a character we did see in the trailer, and we know he'll be in Infinity War, and that's the White Ape. Yeah, there's a lot of animal themed stuff. There's a lot of that kind of tribal symbolism, but he's just such a great character. Eric Killmonger is another one of his kind of like, I say white ape, man ape. Sorry about that. I'll come back to him. Eric Killmonger was also in the trailer. He's played by Michael B. Jordan in the film. He looked really cool. He's gonna be a fun character. But this movie just looks, or this character is so exciting. Ulysses Claw, we know he was there in the trailer as well. Man Ape, like I said, he's the ruler of kind of the white gorilla cult. And so that's why I said white ape. I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyways, there's so much great stuff with Black Panther. Go check out the Black Panther series that took place. Oh god, when was that? Volume 4, around the time of the Civil War stuff. This is after he's finally kind of returned to Wakanda. This is the period of time where he actually marries Storm. And Wakanda's staying out of the Civil War stuff, and their wedding was probably one of the most awkward weddings in history, because you've got all their friends are invited and all their friends are fighting. So that's probably that's the area I would suggest starting, because that's a good place to start. So what did you guys think? You excited for this character? You excited for everything that's coming out? Personally, I am. I think it's going to be a great summer of movies. I wish Black Panther would get here a lot sooner, because I'm really looking forward to that. But let me know what you thought about everything we talked about in the news, guys. The DC shows, the Netflix shows. Are you excited for a second Suicide Squad? And let me know all that. Don't forget, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, don't forget to check out my Patreon page. I could really use the support, guys. Just because I want to make this show as good as possible. So go there, check out what the kind of perks are. I've already started uploading the kind of what I call the cutting room floor. And if you don't know what that is, I've got tons of footage from conventions and red carpets and just all this other stuff. And not all of it gets out there. So there's interviews with different people. There's just footage of me. There's B-roll. There's fun stuff behind the scenes that you might not get to see. And I'm putting it out there. So check that out. You can get access to that pretty easily. But it's there. I'm constantly updating it. So check it out. But go to my Patreon. Support it. I would greatly appreciate it. And after you're done there, why don't you go over to iTunes and leave me a rating, leave me a review. Tell me what you're liking about this show. Hey, this is on YouTube now, so leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you are enjoying about the show. Leave me a thumbs up, subscribe. I talked about when the DC stuff's coming back, and my theories and conspiracies will be back then as well. But stay tuned. I'm going to be trying to be bringing a lot more content to you guys. But in order to do that, I need your help. So until next week, guys, I'm Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd. And this has been the first episode of Season 5, and hopefully a great experiment that you guys are going to enjoy. So until next week, guys, talk nerdy to me.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.